Hey everybody, it's Brandon with FastDataScience.ai, and it's Friday, so you know what that means. It is another edition of This Week in AI. Today we're going to be talking about three major topics. One is tackling the black box problem in machine learning and artificial intelligence. The second is looking at how entrepreneurs have been applying artificial intelligence into new startups and business opportunities. And then third, for what caught my eye this week, we're going to talk a little bit about practical AI or practical ML. And we're going to use a term that probably hasn't been used in a little while in a lot of ML circles. So let's get to it. Today is January 21st. 2022. We're already almost at the end of the first month of the new year. Time flies so fast, especially when you're having fun. Okay, so let's have some fun. Let's talk a little bit about what G Scrapey delivered to me this week. So G Scrapey only teed up one article for me this week as being a popular, important article. Again, G Scrapey's not all that sophisticated yet, just looking for essentially articles that pop up more than once, or at least similar articles that pop up more than once throughout the week. And so what G Scrapey teed up for me today is physics-based engineering and the machine learning black box problem. So everybody knows and is well aware of the black box problem in AI. What is that problem? Let's break it down a little bit. That problem is essentially the inability that we often have when we use highly sophisticated mathematical models in artificial intelligence to transform data and build predictions or classifications. The ability to be able to explain why those models are making the predictions or classifications that they're making. We call that the black box problem. There have been a lot of libraries for Python and R developed to try and whatever that word is, dive through the layers of a network and identify what features are important. But you could imagine, right? I ran into a situation just this last week where we built a model. That model was an embedded model. So the features that were fed to the model were actually vectors, right? They were vector spaces. So if you were to sort of go in and look at what all those different vectors were that were important for making a particular prediction in that model, well, you might come to the conclusion that, well, it was vector number 4. What does vector number 4 mean? Who knows, right? We don't know. We'd have to go look at the model that built the vectors first. Again, this is all what contributes to this idea that these sophisticated models are a bit of a black box. This particular article looks at a group who has domain knowledge. So let's break down what exactly the point of this article is and how it tries, emphasis on the tries, to solve the black box problem. Essentially, using domain knowledge matters, right? So if we understand a problem and we understand how humans tackle that problem and we understand maybe some of the science around how humans tackle the problem, or in this case, how physical systems work, we can start to maybe explain or at least hypothesize about why a particular model that's applied to that domain is making the predictions it's making, because we as domain experts know what the features mean as we add them to our models, so we understand, at least on some level, what might be contributing to a particular prediction for a more sophisticated model. So what does this mean to me? This article really emphasizes that your background matters. Most data scientists today that work in professional positions or leadership or whatever it is, they did not come from data science degrees because they just simply weren't available 5-10 years ago. So what that means is that a lot of people used a different background, a domain relevant background, and applied data science to it. And that's where we're seeing a lot of success in data science anyways. So your background matters. Your unique background matters. Use it. Apply data science to it, because that is where you're going to have much more success as a data scientist. Number 2. This is especially true if it is not specific to data science. Again, just reiterating the importance of having domain expertise, or at least some domain understanding, because at the end of the day, humans don't care about data science. Humans do care about physics. They do care about business processes. They do care about the globe, right? Climate change, you name it. There's all kinds of things that really matter to what we do. Data science should be applied to those things, not the other way around, right? And so we got to think of it that way. And I think this article really kind of helps to point that out. And finally, Don't be afraid to use your background knowledge to help you explain what things might be doing as you apply data science. And when I say things, I mean data science things, right? The products that you build, the solutions that you build in those domains. Use your background knowledge to help understand conceptually what those models might be doing, particularly if those models become more and more sophisticated. All right, let's move on. Number 2, 3 entrepreneurial uses of artificial intelligence that will change your business. Personally, I just found this one super exciting and super interesting, and then I read the article. What did it tell me? It told me that, well, there's 3 areas: customer service, predictive analytics. Oh my gosh, predictive analytics. I have not heard that word in a long time, probably since I joined a predictive analytics team about 7 years ago. And number 3, data entry. So what does this article talk about here? This article basically talks about how entrepreneurs are leveraging AI services, be those services that are available through cloud services like Azure, AWS, or GCP, or it means that they're leveraging vendors who have integrated those services into products to help enable smarter customer service, more automatable customer service as well. This also gets into the more general conversation of predictive analytics. I'll come back to why predictive analytics is sort of a thing, and it's important to kind of revisit this concept that feels a little bit older. But entrepreneurs are understanding the value of, for example, being able to predict whether or not a particular customer might have a problem in the near future. What does that allow you to do as a company, as an entrepreneur? That allows you to do proactive outreach. Instead of waiting for that customer to call you, you can actually take those insights and reach out to that customer in a proactive fashion, or send them some resource that's related to the issue you think they're going to have, that helps support what they do. Because then what that does, so long as it doesn't feel creepy and scary and, too big brother-ish, if you do it right, you message appropriately, that helps add value to that customer. That shows that customer that you really do give a crap about them, and you're using their data that you've collected with your processes and your data science to help improve whatever their interaction is with you. The last area is automated data entry. So automated data entry is really just the idea that we can leverage everyday data science to help us move data from, say, spreadsheets into databases so that they're secure, safe, and we can use them for other things. Or from, say, a digital document into a spreadsheet, right? We can start to automate some of those translations, which a lot of companies still spend a lot of human resources on today in doing. So data science helps to open up new opportunities for entrepreneurs who need to automate certain parts of their process so as to help augment their delivery of services while also reducing or at least managing costs more effectively. Let's face it, humans are not cheap, right? They're valuable, they need to be a part of the equation, but so does intelligent automation. Business and industry is moving rapidly in this direction, and entrepreneurs can start to take advantage today of a lot of the services that are available out there, pre-trained models that are available through cloud services, and or building out their own custom predictive analytics with their customer data to be able to do things in a smarter fashion. Okay, we can talk more about that in the future, but let's get to what caught my eye this week. So what caught my eye? Sure, it's a who, but we'll get to that in just a second. It's a boring headline. AI more likely to complement than replace predictive analytics. Okay, so why did this catch my eye? I think it's common in our space to read, and I think I've said this before too, where we read these really, really interesting articles. I post them all the time on my Facebook group, right? We read these really cool articles about these super, super sophisticated, beefed up data science and AI teams hired by the Googles, the Facebooks, now the Metas, right? Or OpenAI, or whoever it may be, right? These companies that are focused on contributing to both basic and applied research with data science and artificial intelligence. And we hear about how they produce these super sophisticated approaches to solving very large problems, very large human and business problems. In fact, just today, during the setup of this particular episode, this is what came across my alerts right here. So you will see, oh, go away, little pop-up. Right here, go away, little pop-up. Right here, Meta's data to vec is a step toward one neural network to rule them all, right? We read about stuff like this and it's like, oh man, how can me, a early stage data science student or an entrepreneur who is trying to figure out how to leverage data science to help improve my business and reduce my cost margins, right? Increase my profit margins. How can I ever possibly do things that are this amazingly cool whenever these companies are doing these things? Well, let's be real. AI is more likely to complement than replace the age-old practice of predictive analytics. Predictive analytics is still a thing. Actually, predictive analytics is essentially what we used to call machine learning and AI. The difference is that artificial intelligence is presenting more opportunities for us to take those predictive analytics, those algorithms that we use to predict things or forecast things, and ingest and integrate them into applications, right? We'll talk more about that probably next week, and I think I talk a little bit about my newsletter. But let me just say this. Here you have David Simak, who's the primary person that was interviewed in the article, to talk a little bit about where he sees machine learning, artificial intelligence, and predictive analytics in the space today as it stands. He is partner and he is head of artificial intelligence and automation at Infosys Consulting. So the guy knows what he's talking about. But he basically says, look, there is no one tool that will ever solve all of our business problems. Despite what Meta may think, there's going to be lots of business problems that can be solved with a diversity or an ensemble of tools that allow us to do things for those businesses that developers like you and myself out there can actually develop and realize for those businesses or for those problems. The key, though, is that it will take time, it will take effort, it will take data, and it will also take some expertise, right? Some understanding of how to use data to build predictive models so that those predictions can then be used to help make decisions. The more our leadership in those entrepreneurial spaces or in those business contexts can understand the process of predictive analytics, the more likely they are to also trust the process of predictive analytics. What I love here is a couple of quotes that come from that article that really drive this point home. The adoption of predictive analytics is still relatively low. Think about that for a minute. The adoption of predictive analytics in 2022 is still relatively low. And technology is maturing, while the take-up of prescriptive tools, which is the next stage on, is almost non-existent. Okay, so what that means is there is still tremendous opportunity to be able to take some of the fundamental data science models and algorithms and apply them in useful and valuable ways to solve immediate business needs. And those businesses do not need to be major enterprises. They can be small and medium-sized businesses, because I have even written about how I, as an individual, have practically applied data science to my own activities in day-to-day life. One other quote from here that really kind of drives the point home that there's a lack of uptick in the use of predictive analytics, data science, and machine learning in business is this quote here. A survey that they did at Infosys in early 2020 found that 91% of business decisions are made with a lack of supporting data, but are based on human experience and gut feeling. This is still a thing today. Even in our modern digitized culture, this is still a thing. That means that data scientists from all different levels are fundamental to the practice of business in today's environments. The more businesses that figure this out, though, and the earlier they're able to figure this out, just like we've always seen, we've looked at the research from Gartner and from Forrester, the more sophisticated companies can get with their predictive data science, their analytics, their advanced analytics, the better off they are, the more competitive they are for actually achieving more business value than their competitors. So it gives them an edge. Data quality is improving. That will continue to also improve the ability for leadership and entrepreneurs to trust what predictions they're getting out of these models. So at the end of the day, I challenge all of you, continue to learn the fundamentals, continue to learn different ways to apply them in creative applications, creative ensembles, bringing multiple models together to solve a particular business problem. Stay relevant. You are relevant. Okay, even though you are not building the one single model to rule them all, like Meta might be, you can still apply data science to everyday business needs, bring value, and drive new opportunities for ROI for those businesses, those social problems, whatever they are. So all levels of data science matter and still have significant application to both the business, social, and economic worlds. All right, and with that, thank you very much for joining. I look forward to talking with you next week, and we will get. Thanks, hon. Bye.